Our story begins on Coruscant, as Mace Windu and Grandmaster Yoda have just received confirmation from Obi-Wan Kenobi that General Grievous is destroyed. The two of them, Windu from the Jedi Temple and Yoda from Kashyyyk, agree on one thing. It's time for the Chancellor to give up his emergency powers. Mace was telling Yoda that he was going to go inform Palpatine of Grievous's defeat, and it will be up to the Chancellor to give up his emergency powers back to the Senate. If he does not, then he will have to be arrested, and the Jedi will take over the Senate. Yoda knew the risks, and so he told Windu that he will have to take Masters with him in case Sidious has a hand in all of this somehow. Windu agreed, saying that Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, and Agen Kolar are ready to go. Yoda put a hand to his chin, asking about Skywalker, the Chosen One. If this is all a part of Sidious's plan, then it is likely that Skywalker will be at the center of it. But Windu said that bringing him along would be too much of a risk. He has done his duty well in spying on Palpatine, but in truly bringing him down, they will need Jedi without any emotional attachment to the man. Yoda sat back, pursing his lips, and he nodded in agreement. But he paused to say there is something else with Skywalker. Windu listened closely, as Yoda described how Anakin came to him before he took off to Kashyyyk. The boy was troubled with nightmares of someone close to him dying. Yoda said now that he initially suspected Anakin was speaking of Obi-Wan, but now he wonders if Anakin was talking about Palpatine. And suddenly, both Jedi knew that if Anakin was worried about Palpatine being in danger, then it's unlikely he will willingly stay behind as the others go to arrest him. He needs to possibly be with someone. Yoda told Windu to ask Anakin if he had any more of these nightmares, or if they have become any more clear, and take his action from there. Windu nodded, and the blue hologram of Yoda blinked out as Windu turned to enter the hangar where the Jedi Masters were waiting for him. But in the hangar, Anakin landed his speeder and he stumbled out of it, hurrying over to Mace Windu with urgent, shocking news. Windu barely had time to even tell Anakin what was going on before Anakin revealed the shocking truth of it all. Chancellor Palpatine is not working with Darth Sidious. No, he is Darth Sidious. Windu took only a second to process this, and immediately snapped back into business mode. This revelation was uprooting everything he fought for in this entire war. But there was no time to dwell on it. So he asked Anakin how he knows, and Anakin said that Palpatine just revealed it to him. Windu said their worst fears have been realized, and they certainly need to arrest him now. Anakin desperately asked to come with, and Windu pulled Anakin to the side of the hangar, telling the other three Jedi he will be right there. Windu told Anakin that he knows about his nightmares. Yoda just told him, and Windu asked if these nightmares are of Palpatine. Has Anakin had premonitions of Palpatine dying? Or of something worse? Anakin stumbled over his words. He wasn't expecting Windu to bring this up. He told Yoda about the nightmares in confidence that they would be kept private. He didn't even tell Obi-Wan, but Windu's hard gaze was burning into him as Windu urged Anakin to tell him what is really going on. So Anakin shook his head, saying the dreams are not about Palpatine, but Palpatine is the only one who has offered him a legitimate solution to the dreams. Windu tilted his head, asking Anakin what he means by a solution, and Anakin revealed that Palpatine said the dark side can save Padme from dying. It was better than he got from any of the Jedi, and he was desperate. And Anakin realized what he just said. He didn't mean to say her name, it just slipped out. But Anakin felt a bit relieved that he wasn't having to hide it anymore. This was the moment of truth for years of fighting, years of stress about Padme. And now Windu knew the truth. Anakin was having nightmares about Padme Amidala dying. Windu recalled before the war, when Obi-Wan said that putting Padme and Anakin together was risky, but Windu urged Obi-Wan to trust Anakin to take the right path in that moment. And now, years later, that path could be the difference between the galaxy shifting into the light or into the dark. So now that Windu knew the truth, that Palpatine promised he could save Padme using the dark side, he asked Anakin where Senator Amidala is in this moment. Anakin said she should just be in her apartment, and so Windu told Anakin to go there, wait with her while he and the other Jedi go to confront Palpatine. Windu promised to arrest him, and Anakin may speak to him before he goes on trial. Anakin was surprised by this compassion and understanding, and he thought this was a better idea than just keeping him in the temple, so he told Windu it will be done. So Windu got into the transport ship with the others, and he took off towards the executive building, while Anakin got back into his speeder and flew off to Padme's apartment. When he arrived, Padme was just finishing up a meeting and was settling down for the evening, so Anakin being here was perfect. But she could immediately tell that something was terribly wrong. Anakin explained everything to her about how Palpatine was the Sith Lord they've been looking for, the one that was working with Dooku and the Separatists. Padme was having trouble believing this at first, but as Anakin went over everything, she began to see that it was true, and she told Anakin that her delegation of 2000 has been right this entire time. They've been working to remove Palpatine from office, and this will give them even more reason to end this war and make sure Palpatine is gone for good. But Anakin took a different side to this argument, saying that Palpatine may be the only hope to keeping her alive because of his nightmares. And Padme looked at him as if he were a different person. She shook her head, saying that if joining the dark side, if joining a dictator is the answer, then she would rather die. Anakin told her not to say that, but she pushed him away, telling Anakin that his love for her truly is blinding him. Anakin tried to argue again, saying that the only thing that matters is their love, but Padme was refusing to hear him, saying that Palpatine has poisoned his mind, and she will not accept him if he loses himself. Anakin shook his head. No one understood the power he could have, and he looked across the Coruscant skyline, all the way to the executive building. He wondered if the 4 Jedi have arrested Palpatine yet, and he was waiting for contact from Windu. But inside of the executive building, Palpatine did not simply accept being arrested. Instead, he pulled out a red blade, and he'd quickly cut down Sazitin, Agen Kolar, and Kit Fisto with relative ease. 3 masters cut down like it was nothing. And now, Sidious was battling with Windu through the office, through the halls, cutting down statues, furniture. The battle was chaotic, the red and the purple blades colliding with extreme power, as the strongest members of the Jedi and the Sith were finally facing each other. Windu had sunken deep into Vapad, and after a long, relatively even duel, the two of them reached the window, cutting through it together, and the outside wind and rain was now hitting them. Lightning and thunder crackled from the sky outside, and Windu cut Sidious's lightsaber in half with a quick flick of his wrist, causing lightning to now spray from the hands of the Sith Lord. Windu strained extremely hard to block the lightning, deflecting the spray of blue tendrils back at Sidious, burning him and deforming him. Sidious eventually had to cease this lightning, and he looked to the open doorway, fully expecting Skywalker to enter to save him. But he never did, and through the Force, Windu could feel Palpatine's confusion and desperation, and Windu allowed himself to gloat in this moment, saying that Skywalker will not be coming to save him. Windu realized now that as long as Palpatine was alive, Anakin was in grave danger of falling to his manipulations, and if Anakin fell to the dark side, the entire galaxy would be in danger. Windu knew of Anakin's power. He didn't trust him because of the power he held. He never doubted it, and he knew if Anakin goes dark, all of them will be in trouble. So Palpatine gave up in this moment, and he held his hands out for a rest. He too knew how vital Anakin was to his plans. He needed him, and he would get him once in prison. But Windu had already made up his mind about what was going to happen from here. So in one quick, fluid motion, Mace Windu swung, cutting across the neck of Sidious, killing him once and for all. His body fell hard out of the broken window, and the Jedi Master was left alone with what he had done. It was what he had to do, he told himself. Palpatine was too dangerous to be left alive. And Windu looked out into the darkness, all the way to the apartment buildings for the senators, wondering if Anakin would be able to understand what has been done. And inside of Padme's apartment, Anakin could feel this shift in the Force when Sidious died. He wasn't the only one either. Across the galaxy, Jedi like Yoda, Plo Koon, Shaak Ti, and so many others could feel the dark shadow seem to be lifted off of the galaxy. While so many others felt relief, and Yoda was one of the few who knew what this meant, Anakin suddenly had a pit in his stomach. From what he thought to be true, if Palpatine was dead, then that meant Padme was going to die. The fear was rising up in him rapidly, and it only increased as a ship approached Padme's apartment, Windu's ship, and he immediately entered, brushed past Anakin, and told Padme that he needs her immediate help in the Senate. He told Padme that Palpatine is dead. He had no choice after seeing his power. He even executed 3 Jedi Masters, and so Windu had to make sure that no more lives were lost at Palpatine's hand. And so as Padme and Windu began urgently discussing what they must do next in the Senate, Anakin could feel himself panicking. The whispers of the Sith still rang in his ears, as if an echo of Palpatine were still calling out to him, and these venomous whispers told Anakin that he was weak. His wife was going to die. Because he wasn't strong enough to save her, his unborn child would never be born. It was just like with his mother. Only through the dark side can Anakin achieve the power necessary to save her. Anakin's ears were ringing, his vision was blurry. But now he centered himself, grabbed his lightsaber, ignited it with a sudden hiss, and he swung around to swing the saber at Windu. The Jedi Master was barely able to duck under the strike before igniting his own purple blade, blocking another swing from Anakin, ordering him to stand down immediately. Anakin snarled at Windu that he was responsible for killing Padme, but he knows he can still find a way to save her. Anakin had his back to Padme, and he was pushing Windu to the edge of this balcony. Windu was trying to disarm Anakin. He didn't want to kill him, but Anakin was calling upon the darkness. His power was catching Windu off guard, but as Anakin lifted his saber for a new, powerful swing, Padme pulled out her own blaster, firing a stun blast right into Anakin's back. Anakin's body went limp, and he tumbled to the floor, sliding down and falling off the edge of the balcony. Padme screamed in horror as Anakin fell, but Windu reached out both of his hands, catching Anakin as he fell, and slowly lifting him back up to the balcony. Padme was crying. She couldn't believe she shot Anakin, but Windu assured her that she did what was right. Anakin would be alright, and he was in a horrible headspace right now, as Palpatine had been manipulating him for decades. It's clear that Anakin loves her, and Anakin would be taken to the Jedi Temple, placed inside one of the temple cells, while also being exposed to knockout gas to ensure he doesn't wake up quite yet. He was an issue to deal with later on. For now, Windu and Padme would go to the Senate together, as the news of Palpatine's assassination was spreading like wildfire. But in the Senate, Windu and Padme would force the people to understand why Palpatine had to be killed by showing the video and audio recordings from his office. Of course, Palpatine had these going, as he planned to manipulate these to make the Jedi look like evil executioners. But now that he was gone, Windu could show the full videos. The people in the Senate would see Palpatine igniting a lightsaber, cutting down all three of Saesee Tiin, Kit Fisto, and Aegon Kolar. He attacked the Jedi first, and the Jedi gave him the option to come peacefully to answer for his crimes. He declined, and ultimately Windu did what had to be done. Padme Amidala, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and a handful of other senators would ascend on a Senate pod together, putting forward their delegation that was aimed at removing Palpatine from office. For far too long, the Chancellor remained in office past his term, and he was constantly giving himself more emergency powers. The Senate was basically obsolete. The Republic had become an empire in everything except its name. And these senators announced it was time to begin again with a fresh start. Most of the senators would cheer, as this meant the war would be coming to an end. Their planets would be free from constant warfare. But some watched in frustration as Palpatine's corruption was exposed. Mas Amedda was one that was extremely unhappy with this. He was ready for an expanded role in the coming empire, but now he would have to fight for political power and avoid being exposed for his knowledge about Palpatine's plans. Either way, after another hour in the Senate, it was decided that a new election for Chancellor would soon take place. But for now, it was the Jedi who were taking over to ensure that this war ends. Dooku is dead, Grievous is destroyed, Sidious is finally gone, and a call was sent out to wherever the remaining Separatist leaders were hiding. Surrender and live, or keep fighting without any mercy when they are finally discovered. And it wouldn't take long for Gunray and the other cowards of the corrupt Separatists to finally surrender, ending the Clone Wars once and for all. Hours later, inside of the Jedi Temple, Anakin Skywalker was awake with his hands restrained behind him. He didn't know how long it had been, and the temple guards weren't exactly the greatest help. Anakin was extremely worried about Padme, but he was also angry at himself. Attacking a Jedi, especially someone as highly respected as Master Windu, was almost certain to get him expelled from the Order, and Anakin could only truly blame himself. He was intent on hurting Windu in that moment, and as Anakin waited, the serenity and the calmness of the Jedi Temple certainly helped his dark emotions to fade. And after many more hours, the doors to the jail center opened, and Anakin watched Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, and Padme Amidala enter together. But Padme held a pod behind her, and Anakin could hear the crying of two baby children. She gave birth while Anakin was locked away, and she survived. Anakin immediately saw how foolish he was, how he allowed this Dark Lord to twist his mind until he became the very thing he swore to destroy. But Anakin let it all go. He was no Sith, and he ran to the cell door to look at Padme and the twins. She smiled at him, telling Anakin to say hello to Luke and Leia. The temple guards opened the cell door, holding their blades towards Anakin as his wrists were released. And Anakin hurried over to Padme, and they each held a child as Anakin profusely apologized for his actions. Ultimately, Anakin would be suspended indefinitely from the Jedi Order for attacking Windu and hiding his relationship with Padme, and this was fine with him. After many long talks, Padme decided she still wanted to be with Anakin, as his actions were heavily influenced by the dark side. Palpatine took Anakin's vulnerabilities, exposed them, used them against him, and for years they would raise their children on Naboo in a peaceful galaxy under Chancellor Mon Mothma, leaving their lives of politics and Jedi behind them. Luke and Leia would get to grow up as regular children, going to school and choosing their own paths in life, something neither Anakin nor Padme ever really got to do. And folks, that is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think it's going to be under 20 minutes. Either way, that's what I usually strive for. Anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys thought. This was just, I don't know, just exploring ideas a couple days ago, and I thought, hey, what if Anakin just brought up the nightmares in that moment? I think that would have been smarter. But of course, we needed a way to get Anakin to turn to the dark side in the movies, so ultimately he doesn't. And of course, Anakin and Windu don't exactly trust each other, which is something I really wanted to show in this. Just their trust, like fake trust almost, with Windu being like, yeah man, we're gonna arrest Palpatine, no doubt. And then killing him because, you know, evil Sith Lord guy. Gotta kill him. Sorry, it's just, you know, gotta do it. Anyways, yeah, Anakin doing the same, being like, I trust Windu, and then trying to kill him when he comes to the Senate, to Padme's apartment. Anyways, my favorite comment that I got yesterday was like, hey, you have a really good mic quality and really good voice with this, and that warmed my heart, because I was like, nice, because I'm always really self-conscious about the mic and how I sound. But I realize now, I've got this, like, funny inflection, like, I don't know, I just go up and down so much when I'm reading the story versus when I'm just talking like this, so, I don't know, I enjoy getting into it with my voice, so, appreciate you guys, hope you guys enjoy how I do these. Yeah, not much more to say. I could just keep talking, but I don't know. Thanks, everybody. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video.